Welcome to the Private Practice Business Academy, where healthcare professionals like yourself earn their business savvy, with your host, Dr. Joe Simon.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Private Practice Business Academy. This is your host, Dr. Joe Simon. In this episode, there are so many key factors that I want you to make sure you grab. The main reason that I want you guys to dive in deep into this episode is because I want you to look at the background story of how a physician decided that he no longer wanted to be in the healthcare space, not for any other reason but the fact that he figured that he could do something better to help the profession grow. Now, I've spoken to many individuals, I've consulted with many individuals, I've partnered with many healthcare practitioners in all professions. Recently, I was working with a psychoanalyst, and here's something he said to me. He's like, but my patients are different. And, I think I had a previous episode on this, and I said, you know what? Patients are still patients. They're human beings. They respond to the same psychology that we all respond to in a sales and marketing aspect. So if you're looking to get more patients in the front door, easily I can help you. But if you're looking to create better systems, then we have to sit down, we have to talk, and we have to discuss on what systems are needed to help your business grow. Now, a practice is 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 a challenge at times when you have more than one moving piece, especially when you have an office manager, you have assistants, you have support of staff, you have an answering service. There are a lot of moving pieces. The problem is we have to make sure those moving pieces all work together. Now, this is something that I've been working with my strategic partners. We've been working on just getting a small improvement on each piece. Now, I'm giving out this secret because this is something that I do privately with my partners and my consulting and coaching clients. We work on tiny, tiny improvements, and those improvements, if we look at 10% in each area, we are looking at a close to 30 to 40 to even 50% improvement on the whole practice. Okay, I'm giving away that secret because I wanted someone who responded to one of my emails. She said, how can I can't afford your rates? How can I get these ideas? And I said, look, there are things that we pay for, right, to make ourselves better. You pay to go to school to make yourself better. You paid for your education to make yourself better. This is an education. This is an education on how to make your practice better. So it depends on what effort and time and monetary expense you want to put into it, right? But what I give for free on the podcast is absolutely free. And I try not to hold anything back. I try to give away as much as possible. And that's why I'm giving away this strategy. Because if you know how to implement the strategy, excellent. You don't need my help. If you don't, then you might need my help on this. Again, enjoy this episode. Really take away the nuggets from it of how more and more practitioners are stepping away from the healthcare space as treating a patient and now looking into how they can help the profession grow as a whole. Thanks again for listening, guys. Love the testimonials. Love the feedback I'm getting. And again, if there's anything you want me to cover, if the new topics you want me to cover, if there's somebody you want me to interview that you say you want to learn more about that company or that person, shoot me an email. I am more than happy to dive into different types of professions. So don't hold back. Again, have a great day, guys, and stay passionate about what you do. Talk soon. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Private Practice Business Academy. This is your host, Dr. Joe Simon. On the phone with me today is a respected colleague, Dr. David Greene. And Dr. Greene has been very gracious to be on the show today because he has so much to share with us. He is the CEO of US Lead Network. He's an author, and he's also the leading healthcare internet marketing specialist out there. So he has a lot of knowledge and a lot of expertise that he's going to share today on the show. And David, I don't want to just scratch the surface and just give a few comments about you. I want you to introduce yourself to the audience and let them know a little more about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, Joe. I appreciate it. I've had kind of a weird traveling life here the last 10 years from going from practice, into what I do now. So I didn't think that I would end up, going from working 16, 18 hours a day at the hospital to being strictly on the business side. But that's where life has taken me, and I'm very, very happy for that. So,
Absolutely. And I can easily tell you that working 18 hours a day and then flipping it over to much less is always is a dream for a lot of the listeners that are listening. We have a lot of healthcare practitioners that are listening right now that are trading time for dollars. So, we got on the call a little bit earlier, and I mentioned, I said, I said, David, it's rare that I see a medical professional, especially an MD, in the healthcare internet marketing space. And I've been in this space for a long time, and it's very rare. Even a healthcare practitioner, it's rare to see. So I got to ask, how did that shift happen? And we're going to get a lot of people, and they're listening to this podcast, and when they get off this podcast, they're going to either jump to your LinkedIn profile, or they're going to go to your website, and they're going to check you out, and they want to know more about it, and they want to know how you did it and why you did it. So let's get into that. How guide us through those steps? Like, what happened?
yeah, so it wasn't like a zigzag. It was more of a meandering kind of a thing. I was never really happy in practice. I've always been a very driven person. So, I did med school residency, and then the fellowship. And, when I was in practice, it really just, you spend all those years, and it never really turned out to be exactly what I had wanted. And then I was doing these big scoliosis cases in adults, and things happen. I think there's 60% complication rates on those cases. So, I got sued a couple times for little things that were non-meritorious, just frivolous type things. And I couldn't stop thinking about it because I'm a perfectionist. And so for a couple of years, that was the issue. And I said, this is not how I want to live my life. Anytime you say that, you probably should do something about it. Especially if you're saying it to yourself for 2 years straight. So I did. I sort of made an exit plan and left practice. It's kind of one of those big step back situations. And then I opened up a pain management center here in Phoenix. It went really well. But this was the issue, is that we were out of network on everything. So you're not in the book. You're not getting calls from patients who find you on a list. So we had to make our own list, and we did. I did. I learned how to build websites. I learned how to blog. I learned how to do press releases. I learned how to make videos. Anything to promote my practice. I did it, and I learned what worked. I learned what didn't, and we got 80% of our patients from the web, and that was incredible. I didn't know how powerful the internet was.
And what year was this, David? What year was?
Oh, this was probably 2009.
Okay.
8, 7, 8, 9. And then I sold the clinic. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 2010 we sold it. But anyway, the interesting thing was at the time, my dad, he's always been my mentor for business stuff. He's been a businessman forever and very successful. So at a certain point, he said to me, I remember it was like a Saturday, he said, I've been helping you for these last few years with your business, but I've told you everything. If there's something else you want to learn, you got to go to business school. And I hadn't even thought about it, but then I realized that, if he had nothing left to teach me, then I wanted to continue to learn about taking a business and then replicating it and franchising and getting larger, and all those types of things. So I did. I went to business school. I graduated about a year and a half ago. And so now, after I sold the clinic, I didn't sell all the internet assets. I had 30 some websites to promote my pain center. most of them were fairly generic, like painmanagementphoenix.com, things like that. So I found the largest pain center in Arizona. I leased them the presence, and I get them 100 and some patients a month. And that's how my business started, my current business.
Nice.
I realized, then I realized I could do this anywhere, right? So I did. Now I work with medical specialty practices all over the country. Florida, Texas, LA, Vegas, what have you. And it works.
So I got to ask, David, because we have had a couple of guests on previous shows that have gone to business school, and we had one guest who made a great comment, and I want to know if you agree with it. They said business school just teaches you to become an employee, not to become an entrepreneur. So you were already an entrepreneur before you went to business school. So you already had it kind of in your head what you want to do with the information. But what do you think of that comment?
Well, a lot of it's true. I mean, there's some characteristic traits that you have, as you call it, innate in you. And I remember when I was interviewing coming out of fellowship with, MD Anderson, the University of North Carolina, I realized that I was not meant to be an academic employee. And that was a problem. Because if you do that and you're meant to be an entrepreneur, it's not going to work. So that's the reason I went into private practice. But I was unhappy for other reasons, right? So a lot of that is true. Now, I will say that after the first year of business school, so it's 2 years, so after the first year, about 10 people in my class left and switched to the other program at ASU. And the main reason they did that is because they wanted more entrepreneurial training. So the biggest part of it is true. You can't necessarily teach somebody to be an entrepreneur, but you can try and get some of the, things that will help you along the way, such as how to value a business, how to do contracts and things like that. That's why they switched, because we have some great entrepreneurial professors that don't always teach in our program. So the biggest part of the statement is true. And there has to be some sort of a drive in you to, do instead of just kind of be.
Absolutely, and I've met a lot of physicians recently who are in academic facilities, and they have a drive to change up, or they are, obviously they are capped at the salary, and even if it is a good salary, they have other challenges that come up, and everyone does. Everyone has a challenge that comes up in life. They might have to pay for an elderly mom or dad, a parent that needs care, or they have small kids at the same time. So, I've consulted with a few recently, and it's funny to see. But you made a great point just now when you see that some of the academic physicians out there, they don't have that entrepreneurial drive, so they don't know where to start or what to do. So you, on the other hand, obviously you have the drive. You already had a facility before you decided, and of course you learned from your dad. So you've got firsthand experience, which was amazing. And then obviously went to MBA just to kind of round off the edges. So I guess that's you did a little of everything, so kind of helped out. But you have a great business model there. You basically started off in private practice and said, I'm out of network, so people have to find me. And you decide to do the legwork yourself and make the websites and do the PR and the videos. I got to ask, what was that learning curve like to get to that point? Did you hire coaches? Did you say, you know what, I'm just going to figure this stuff out for myself? Did you outsource? What was your pattern that you went through?
Yeah, I'm kind of one of those DIY guys. So I did read some books, and I learned how to do some coding, but I didn't hire any coaches. The only coach I ever hired was when I was learning how to use Infusionsoft, which is it's like a constant contact kind of thing. But even then, it was sort of one of those a negotiation. If I had signed up, will you give me a coach for a while? So it kind of came with the program. But most of it was do it yourself. I mean, I built a website, and then I realized, okay, I just coded this in a way that's not expandable. So it wasn't just tens of hours; it was hundreds of hours. There was a lot of mistakes along the way, and I still make mistakes. We all do, but now when I make a mistake, it's not, nobody gets hurt, right? It's just, I'm not practicing anymore. So I just, have to recode it or whatever
Well, we call
yeah.
mistakes testing, right? And in the internet marketing world, we're just always testing, so they're not really mistakes. So we've
Yeah,
changed
like
it.
you do a landing page, you do two of them. You see which one gets the most traffic and which one gets the bigger response. So, if one's just not aesthetic enough and doesn't have the proper call to action, then it's a mistake. But the other one works, so that's what you go with. So those are the kind of things that help tremendously with trial and error. But yeah, it was tens, hundreds. I hesitate to say even maybe a couple thousand hours along those years learning what works and what doesn't. There's no one magic bullet, silver bullet.
Absolutely, and you made that great point when you said you learned how to do a few things, and I obviously have a different take on it. I knew I couldn't learn everything, so I decided to leapfrog and hire coaches and work with individuals that had the knowledge, and because it just we can't do everything, and I'm a firm believer in that. I just couldn't do everything. I didn't have the time to do everything, so I figured, you know what, I'll delegate out the best I can, and obviously make mistakes. You learn as you go, and it's a learning curve. But let's give the audience some real information because you've done something that a lot of them are trying to figure out right now. You've got 80% of your incoming patients from the internet. Now, a lot of with healthcare the way it's going right now, a lot of clinics are switching to cash based. They're switching over to out of network. They want to know how to get more patients through the internet. Let's give them, two strategies that you think are the best out there right now today that they can really work that they could really use and they can implement right away.
Sure. The Before I give the two, I'll just say that there really is not one silver bullet because what Google likes today, they might not be so happy with, next month. They change the algorithm over 100 times a year of who ranks high in the search engines. Um, so when I give these two, they're good to use. I think they have long-lasting potential. But video is now like the up and coming. It's actually past the up and coming. It's like the number one thing that Google looks at because when they bought YouTube, they love YouTube. So it's free to create a YouTube channel, and you don't have to be a video production expert to make these videos. The latest thing that I've been doing, which is great, is I create PowerPoint. We all know how to use PowerPoint as clinicians if you do presentations. So I make a good-looking PowerPoint, and then I use something called Camtasia. There's another one called ScreenFlow or Screen Capture. But basically, you're creating a screen capture video of yourself talking over a PowerPoint video. So you don't need a production crew. You don't need lighting or high-definition video camera. You're just creating an educational video about what you know. Because what you know is very valuable to patients. And that's the first key is creating a YouTube channel. And when you create these videos, you upload them to your YouTube channel. And make sure that you put in all of the descriptions. You can put in one link. So put in your website. It's a very valuable link. Make sure you put your phone number in the description and the title. And then make sure you max out on the keywords below.
Got it.
So that's first thing. I mean, I've gotten hundreds of thousands of views on the channels I've done. I think for Arizona Pain here in Phoenix, I probably get them 5 to 10 patients a week just on the videos.
Excellent, excellent. And video is a great strategy. And you brought up some good points that there is not one single silver bullet. There's thousands of strategies you can use, and each strategy might bring in a couple here and there. And one, you never know which one's going to bring in the mother load, but always use more than one. But video, I completely agree with you. Great way to go. It was ScreenFlow for Mac and Camtasia is for PC. So it depends on which computer you have. I personally, I like ScreenFlow because I use Macs, but nothing wrong with Camtasia. It works really well. And you made a great comment. What you know is valuable to patients, And I think a lot of physicians, dentists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, I think we take that for granted. I think we take the knowledge that we've accumulated over all those years. I think we just take all that information for granted and not realize that patients don't know this. And, it's good. Now, you also brought up a great point that you can shoot this video, you can put the video up on YouTube, but people have to find this video. And obviously, you made a couple of comments about making sure the right keywords are in there, and um, let's talk about that. What can they do to make sure that video is actually being seen and not just being thrown into the interwebs somewhere?
Yeah, so I see that time and time again that people just have a video, they put on a YouTube channel, and they don't have any tags, keywords, or description. And that's just the biggest mistake ever, because you'll get maybe a few views, but I have some that have been viewed 20,000 times, like on facet blocks or how to avoid surgery for sciatica. But it wasn't because I just threw it up there. You have to put a very good title. So whatever you're trying to really teach, that's in your title. Don't make it too long. How to avoid surgery for sciatica from an AZ pain center or something. Then I put the phone number. The very first thing you should put underneath that, in that box where the description is your link. YouTube allows one link. Anything more than that, they can start to consider it spam, maybe two at the most. But people say, "Oh, I'll put the link to my website at the bottom." No, put it at the top, at the very top of the description box. And then right under that, start your description. And I try to make it at least one paragraph and hit all the keywords. You don't stuff it with keywords. You just write it naturally, but it's going to have those keywords in it. And then, so you write a little description about the video. And under that, put a little self-serving thing about your practice. Arizona Pain has the top most comprehensive pain management clinics in the Arizona Phoenix metro area, blah, blah, blah. Over 50 insurances accepted. So do something self-serving, because some people will read that description and then pick up the phone. And then under that, they have a box for keywords. So I do a multitude of keywords. I'll do location-based, say like Phoenix, next one Arizona, next one Gilbert, Scottsdale, all the little suburbs. And then I'll also do them together. So say like pain management, but then I'll do Phoenix pain management. And I'll do Phoenix pain doctor, them separately and then together. And eventually YouTube tells you you can max out your keywords.
Got it. And that's absolutely, great advice. And, if this is outside of someone's realm, I'm sure they can get more information from you, or, they can, YouTube is really pretty easy, but I don't want to say that, and somebody finds it very difficult. I don't think YouTube is too difficult, but even doing annotations in YouTube and making sure a little pop-up comes up while your video is going on, I love that. When YouTube brought that on, I thought that was great. I would make my phone number pop up in the middle of the video that I was talking about a certain technique, and that was great, and people called from that. So I really like what YouTube has done, and it's a great method to use to get patients in the front door. Let's go for one more idea that we think that they can use today. What do you think?
Well, this isn't a revelational idea, but blogging is Google absolutely loves WordPress blogs. So, and it all falls back to education. If you put out good quality content as education, people are looking for information now more than ever on medical topics or dental topics on the internet. So they can find you, especially if you optimize the content properly, and you can embed your YouTube videos in that content. And you don't necessarily have to write it. If you have a good writer, you can hire somebody to write it, and then you can edit it. Because we're all very busy. And this is what I do for a living, so it's different. But if you're in practice, you can have a writer, you can edit it, and then it can be posted. And then if you optimize it properly, you'll get better rankings online, and it'll translate into a very, very cost-effective patient acquisition mechanism with a great return on investment, for the money that you spend to do all that. So I realize it's a pretty mundane type of thing. Oh, I need a blog, but you do. It's the number, up there with video. It's like the number one, number two combo of getting great traffic to your website.
Absolutely, and blogs are important, and but there's a million blogs out there, so we really have to narrow down to your niche or to your community that you want to speak to, and make sure that again that people are finding your blog. So there could be a multitude of ways that people do find your blog. Obviously having it on your business cards if you want to make sure more patients are reading the information. Um, it's also important to blog on a regular basis. I know people that have blogs and they just put one up and then they don't come back to it for 3 or 4 months, and it's pretty hard to get traffic that way. So, even blogging for, once a week, once every other week, just have a consistent schedule so people would have a consistency of coming back. But you brought a great point. This is something that they can easily give to a staff member to just add on. One of the things I love doing, because I didn't love blogging. I thought I couldn't, I just couldn't get it. So I lean more towards the social media channels like Facebook and Twitter, and I made sure that that was something that was easy enough for a staff member to do. And I think that's another great way we can get more people into the front door. Um, Dave, I want to talk about the SEO, the lead network that you are the CEO of, and what the services you provide for to healthcare providers around the country. The U.S. Lead Network. I just want to make sure I got the name correct. Um, let's talk about the U.S. Lead Network. How can that help physicians or anyone listening to the show right now help them get more patients in the front door?
Yeah, sure. So the problem that I faced when I was not in practice, but when I owned a practice, was, like I said, we didn't have, uh, we weren't in a book. We were at a network with everything. So question is, how do you do that cost effectively? Radio and television are effective, but very expensive, and it falls on a lot of deaf ears because it's what's called outbound marketing. So we did it by inbound marketing, which is when people are online searching for the exact services that you offer. So what I did with my company now is I created a system where we create effective websites on our dime, and we market it on our dime. I just had this conversation yesterday with a guy. So what about all the pay-per-click and the press releases? How much do you charge me for that? And I said, well, you're talking about the pay for performance that we do. You don't pay for any of that. It's something that we've embedded in our system, our cost structure, and then all that the practices, pay for is the leads. And that's a model that's been vetted through the OIG and, is completely copacetic for practices. So I loved that when I was in practice, when I owned a practice, the pay for performance model, because, a lot of people say, well, I hired this SEO company. I paid them a few thousand a month and they didn't do anything, or the results were no good. If the results are no good, that's my company's problem. If the results are great, it's effective for you. So it's really a no-lose type of situation. And that's what I want, is something that's very different mold than what you typically see out there. And it works,
And I'm going to say, David, that's a great model. I'm assuming that everything is tracked, obviously, and everyone basically knows how many patients they're getting from you, so it's tracked. And so, are you worried that the front desk will drop the like? You can send 1,000 patients to a clinic, right? You can make them call that clinic, but what if the front desk drops the phone call? It doesn't get that person scheduled. What happens then? You're still saying that you're still charging for the lead, or are you charging for the actual person showing up?
Well, you can't charge for the actual person showing up because they call that fee splitting.
Got it.
And that's illegal. So we pull it back and we charge less per lead. But, I've seen it all. So a lot of times practices will have a front desk member that is not a good salesperson.
Yeah.
They might be very nice on the phone, but they don't know how to convert. So pull it back to where I have the insight that, their staff either doesn't answer they don't have enough front staff to answer the phone. They just say, okay, use your answering service. And my answering service is scripted. They're very sweet ladies who are in California, and they answer the phones. They're very nice, and they're very effective at helping close the sale, so to speak. And either they can do the scheduling, or they can just do a call connect once the lead has been vetted, just to get them on the schedule. Some clinics have like 6, 7, 8 locations. They have cancellations. They want to be able to handle their own scheduling. But if you do go and take them through the funnel and get them to that final little point of scheduling, then that's when the call gets connected. So I've seen it all. For one reason or another, language barrier or ineffective sales techniques, or because I think we called it in business school the principal agent problem. A lot of people who work, they're not the practice owner. They don't care. So,
Absolutely. But that's a great, I love that method. That's a great model. So obviously, you're taking care of yourself, and the business owner understands that. Look, you can send 1,000 people over, but if their staff can't handle it, it might be a better option to use your answering service, which they're trained to basically get the person scheduled, and that's the number one job when you're in a cash-based out of network facility, is just to get the patient scheduled, and that's so important. So I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing, and it's really beneficial for a lot of clinics because it makes it easier. Now, how can someone, if they want to hire you for services or they want to get more information about you, where can people contact you and find out more about you?
Sure. My website has a lot of info on it. It's usleadnetwork.net, not .com, but .net. And it's not the US Lead Network. It's just usleadnetwork.net. If you scroll down the front page, there's a video. It's like a whiteboard animation. We do a lot of those that talks about the service. There's a bio on me on the About page. I actually wrote a book that it's for sale on Amazon, but I give it to people who call me. I was always worried about, do you write a book? Do you give away your secrets? Well, believe me, the amount of hours it takes to do the SEO properly, most practitioners don't have time for that. So I was like, okay, I'll write the book, and then if anybody calls me to talk about services, I'll just give it to them. They're not going to have time to do it. It's to do this right and get patients for your practice. Let somebody else do it, like my company. I have a team of writers, designers, developers. It's very cost effective to let somebody else do it. But yeah, so there's a website, and then we have a toll free number, 877-791-6466. It's loud and proud on the website as well.
Got it. And I'm checking out the website right now, and I got to tell you, it's a great site. I love the way it's done. Very easy to scroll through, a lot of information. And you said something very important. For SEO, you can literally give everyone the exact what to do. And the biggest problem is if you don't do it on a regular basis, it's absolutely useless. So
That's right.
SEO is, like I always say, like for myself, I say SEO is not hard. It's just tedious. And if you got to keep up with that day in, day out, then you're not targeting on your top 5%, and that's my 95-5 rule. So if you're not targeting your top 5%, then you're wasting a lot of time and losing a lot of money. So, David, I love what you wrote underneath here. So we wrote the book literally. That's great. I like that. Great, a lot of information. So anyone that wants to check this out, it's usleadnetwork.net. A lot of information that's on here. Scroll through, check all this stuff out. They even have a live chat on here. You can chat with someone and get some of your questions answered. David, it was a pleasure speaking to you this morning. We've gotten a lot of information, some good tips that practitioners could use right away, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Joe. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. And for everyone listening, this is Dr. Joe Simon, and we will. I am stuttering because I'm still looking at the website. I'm still reading your website and closing at the same time. Try not to do that. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Everyone have a great day. This is Dr. Joe Simon from the Private Practice Business Academy. Glad that we got so much information out of it from our guests. Our guests are absolutely amazing, and once again, I want to say thank you to them for always giving out the absolute most information and not holding back, and that's the key. To get as much info that we can do and actionable strategies. And the key for you now, the next step for you right now is to implement. Implementation is absolutely the key. So let's make sure you start doing something that you heard today. If it's one golden nugget, if it's more than one strategy that you heard, let's do it immediately. Now, here's the kicker. If there is something that I can help you with personally, if you think that you need something right now, it doesn't matter if you've been in practice for 25 years, if you've been in practice for 4 years, if there is something you need right now that you're like, you know what, I need help with this strategy. I want this to take place, or I do not have time for this, or I would like to step away from my practice and see if I can create the systems to make this run on autopilot. Give me a call. Shoot me an email. We'll schedule a discovery call where we sit down and we go through step by step what you actually need for your practice. The call is free. I'm not charging for the call. Even if I give you a ton of information on that phone call, so be it. I want you to do the best you absolutely can. I only want to work with those that want to work with me. I only want to work with those that we could actually create something amazing together, and you have to have an open mind to it. There are probably a strong majority that I do turn away for multiple reasons. Now, I'm only one person, so the main reason is because my time is limited. So do not be offended when I do turn you away. It's just that I cannot take on more than a few projects at a certain time. But a couple of months down the road, that time may open up. So that is the key. If we can figure out what you need, how much time it's going to take to work with you, then we'll set that time aside and we'll make it happen. All right, guys, shoot me an email today at privatepracticebusinessacademy@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you.